can't make this stuff up. Why is the microphone giving him a little mustache?
You indicated a number of hand tools that you brought with you to
Why does he keep looking down? He's got this feeling of embarrassment. I hate what I had to do, but I had to do it to protect my people.
He'll normally, when we get activated...
What is he, an android? In order for me to get activated.
Did Lieutenant Tully inform you in that first phone call that colleagues of his were already en route to Dighton to retrieve or seize the SUV?
He did not say that, sir.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up, It's the Law with attorney Larry Foreman. Folks, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, why not? There's so much great content out there for you. So don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, comment below. So today we're going to do Kevin O'Hara. Kevin O'Hara is a investigator, I believe. I forget. I remember him from the first trial. We're about to find out exactly what he is, who he is, what he's all about. We are not wasting any time. We are once again, just like we did with McLaughlin earlier today, we are skipping all of his direct examination, and we're going straight into the cross. And then tomorrow, we will finish the cross, do the redirect by Brennan, and the recross by Jackson. So today and tomorrow are going to be jam-packed. Like I said earlier today, if you missed the McLaughlin video, go check it out. Tomorrow we'll finish McLaughlin and we will finish O'Hara. Let's dive right in, folks.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant.
Good afternoon, sir.
When you first arrived at the scene, was there crime scene tape up?
No, there was not, sir.
Was there any barricade up at all?
No, there was not.
Was there any evidence that the crime scene was being secured at that time?
There was no police presence on scene, sir.
Okay. So that when you arrived, the scene had been left unsecured. Do you know how long it had been left unsecured?
I do not, sir.
So before you arrived, at least, and before your presence was known, or some time before you got there, that scene could have been accessed by anyone, to your knowledge?
Well, I think the weather played a good help in us with the scene security, because with that being fresh, undisturbed snow, and with the man tracking we do, we would be able to determine if anyone had access to that area.
Of course, of course. But you don't have any personal knowledge of anybody actually securing that scene for onlookers, bypassers, anybody that wanted access to it, they could have had it?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Okay. You indicated that Lieutenant Tully first contacted you around, not around, but exactly at 2:32 p.m., correct?
That is correct, sir.
At that time, your team was not stood up. In other words, you were not activated because that was an initial call by Lieutenant Tully, not an activation call, correct?
Correct. That's a courtesy notification, sir.
And at that time, Lieutenant Tully had not received the proper protocol, the proper approvals through the protocol to actually have your team activate and have your team dispatched.
Yes, I think he'll normally, when we get activated, before they start the process going through their chain of command, they'll call me just to see.
What is he, an android? In order for me to get activated, I need to... That's a very interesting way to phrase it. I know what they mean. I know what they're talking about. I'm just saying, it just seems a weird turn of phrase, like to be activated, like turning on a robot or a machine or something. But anyway, just an observation.
If we're available and if we could actually respond instead of wasting other people's time calling us. If I were to say, no, we are already assigned on another mission at this time.
Right. So around 2:53, you indicated that one of your subordinates, Sergeant Simpson, notified the rest of the team that get ready, but we have not been given the green light, correct?
Correct, sir. Building an availability list of who could respond.
Okay. That was just a kind of a precursor, if you will, for lack of a better phrase, to make sure that you had the available personnel so when the green light, or if the green light came, you could activate.
Correct, and to help start giving people the heads up to start shoveling their driveway. Like I said, as soon as I received that call from Lieutenant Tully, I hadn't shoveled my driveway yet. Okay. I went out and had to go clear my driveway and my cruiser, and the end of my driveway, we usually get plowed in by our plows. We had several feet of snow at the end of my driveway, sir.
Lucky you.
Yes.
All right. Did Lieutenant Tully inform you in that first phone call that colleagues of his, Massachusetts State Police colleagues of his, were already en route to Dighton to retrieve or seize the SUV?
He did not say that, sir.
Did Lieutenant Tully inform you that Massachusetts State Police had actually contacted the Dighton Police Department for their assistance in potentially seizing that SUV?
He did not tell me that, sir.
Did he indicate to you, you indicated that your conversation was at 12:32. Did he indicate that he had just gotten off the phone with Dighton PD at 12:31, just a minute prior?
Our phone call was at 2:32, sir.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if that can,
Did I say 12:32?
that's a different time you're looking to.
2:32, and he had just gotten off the phone with Dighton PD at 2:31. Did he indicate anything like that?
No, we did not, sir.
Okay. So we do know that at that 2:30-ish hour, you were not authorized to respond to the unit, to the location at that point. None of your units were en route at that point.
No, neither one of us had requested approval through our chain of command at that time, sir.
And you've already told us that you didn't head out until just after 4, sometime after 4 p.m.?
Yes, my GPS data has me leaving my driveway at 4:13 p.m.
Got it. Once you were at 34 Fairview, you arrived first, correct?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I mistook that. Tell me who did arrive first.
Trooper Busalil arrived at 4:54, and I pulled in just after him at 4:56, sir.
My mistake. When you first arrived, you were awaiting others of your team to arrive as well in their personal vehicles or their marked vehicles, correct?
They were all still en route at that time, yes, sir.
When you got there, you did not know at that point where you were going to be directed to search, correct?
I did not know, sir.
All you knew was a residence and an address, correct?
Correct.
As your team members arrived, were they arriving in personal vehicles, cruisers, or some combination thereof?
They were all arriving in state-issued cruisers.
Okay, so all 7 of you arrived. There were 7 total, correct?
Correct. We, again, initially started 8. One member was not able to get off the end of their street due to plowing, so we were 1 member short from the original dispatch.
Understood. Lieutenant, when you arrived, given the fact that you did not know where you'd be searching, you've actually indicated previously that the flagpole, the fire hydrant, et cetera, that part of the lawn, that part of the yard was behind you as the cruisers pulled up and you parked your cruisers waiting for everybody to get there, correct?
When I arrived, I parked almost at the end of the driveway of that residence, sir.
Okay, was your tail facing the flagpole, or was your nose facing the flagpole?
Tail was facing the flagpole.
So
sir.
you pulled up to the driveway, I'm guessing from Chapman?
Yes.
Heading north?
Correct, sir. Yes, from Chapman.
Okay, so you pulled over to the edge of the driveway, sort of on the wrong side of the street, I'm guessing.
You see how Jackson is painting a picture for the jurors because the jurors weren't there. O'Hara was there. Jackson knows O'Hara was there. So as you're coming from Chapman, you're going in this direction. The house would be on your left. The flagpole is behind you. Your nose is facing. They're just getting a mental image of the officer, lieutenant, arriving with the CERT team arriving on scene. Very, very important. It's part of storytelling techniques, and Jackson is an absolute master of them.
Same side as 34 Fairview, sir.
Understood. So the area and the grid area that you ultimately decided to search and ultimately were directed to search, that was all behind you?
Yes, it was.
And it was dark out, obviously.
Yes, it was, sir.
Getting dark.
It was dark. It was winter, so it was dark at
Okay.
5 o'clock.
Your focus was certainly not on the area behind you at that point, correct?
While
As
we
a
were
matter of fact,
driving,
your
sir.
focus wasn't really anywhere, was it?
Also, is it a coincidence that as this guy's talking, again, you can't make this stuff up. Why is the microphone giving him a little mustache? All he has to do is move the mic. I mean, obviously he has no idea. But come on, the jokes are just writing themselves. It's not even funny anymore. I mean, come on, dude. You gave yourself a little Hitler mustache because of the courtroom microphone's positioning. How do you do that? I mean, that's impressive. That is skill.
Know where you're going to search.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Ultimately, your team members began to arrive one by one, and each one of them would stay in their car, or would they get out and come coordinate with you, like at your cruiser?
No, as they arrived on scene, they would come out because Lieutenant Tully had already arrived on scene. He was technically the 3rd member of the state police on scene.
Okay.
So once he got on scene, I was already out talking to him, and I was marking off the area we were going to search.
Understood. You ultimately...
I can't listen to anything this guy's saying. I can't take him seriously. It's like he's got a little... I'm sorry.
He ultimately, at some point, did direct you to a location behind you, which you were not currently focused on. toward the flagpole, the fire hydrant, you said.
Yeah, I wasn't focused on any area at that time, sir, no.
You marked those the areas out that Lieutenant Tully directed you to with some sort of grid coordinates, or was it just sort of a mental grid?
No, I wound up marking, stepping it off in the area I wanted to search, sir.
Did you use any string or rope or anything like that to physically grid the area off?
No, I just marked a line in the snow, sir, where I wanted to start and where we wanted to end.
And you did that with footprints?
No, with the shovel, and then a mark where we wanted to start and end,
I
sir.
see. So sort of dragging a shovel in the line.
Oh,
in the
just
snow.
where the berm was, sir, I knocked the berm down, made an obvious impression of where the shovel was
Okay.
at the starting location where ideally I wanted to end.
Perfect. You indicated that the area that you were searching was relatively undisturbed snow. You said that in direct examination, correct?
It was undisturbed, yes, sir.
But the street, everything from the berm in, the street had been plowed, correct?
To a point, yes, sir.
All right, and so that would be disturbed snow.
Yeah, to a point, yes, sir.
And what was the point?
To where the snow that got plowed in, it all rose up just like the end of your driveway would. There was a good 3 to 4 foot high barrier on each side of the street. Once you were able to knock down that initial barrier of snow, the level of snow dropped down to the normal depths that you would have seen in anyone's front lawn at that time, sir.
And is that what you're calling the undisturbed portion of the snow?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Lieutenant Tully told you that you were going to be looking for a man's shoe, a sneaker of some sort, or a shoe of some sort, correct?
He said sneaker, yes, sir.
And he told you that you'd be searching for plastic, red plastic potentially from a taillight. Is that right?
I said taillight pieces, yes, sir.
Did he indicate?
I mean, the guy has been moving around, but he keeps coming back. He keeps angling his face in just the most perfect angle. How do you do that?
Indicate that some of them would be red, some might be clear. Might be a combination of the two.
He didn't indicate a color either way, sir.
He did direct you to where he believed you should search. It was his direction that sort of gave you your grid coordinates, correct?
He indicated where the vehicle had been parked and where the victim's body had been located and suggested that was the primary area to search.
Did he tell you whether or not he knew from personal knowledge where where John O'Keefe's body had been?
He did not, sir, no.
Did he tell you whether he had personal knowledge where any taillight material might be?
He did not know, sir.
Did he tell you that he had any personal knowledge where an impact site might have been?
He did not know.
Did he tell you that he had personal knowledge that there had been an impact site at the location?
No, he just said he believed the incident involved the vehicle.
Okay. One of your goals when looking at the search location was to obviously remove the snow as methodically as you could, correct?
Yes, sir.
You wanted to not only remove layers of snow, but then ultimately expose the layer beneath it with as little disturbance as possible. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
I think you noted that the plow had not plowed all the way to the curb, so the snowbank was sort of in the street, not in the yard, or at least a few inches from the curb line and not in the yard, correct?
Correct, sir. As I stated, as some of the responding members parked, they were thinking they were parking in a safe spot in the street, and their cruisers wound up being stuck at the end of the night.
And you and your team had some experience doing searches in snowy conditions, being from Massachusetts, I'm guessing.
Missing person searches, we've never been out for an evidence search in this specific type of conditions, but we have done missing person searches.
So this was the first time you and your team had executed a search of this nature in these kinds of conditions for these kinds of items?
In blizzard conditions, yes, for an evidence search, yes.
But you did indicate on direct examination that although it was blizzard conditions and the winds were high, and we've learned that windy conditions sort of define a blizzard in some respects, the visibility was relatively good.
Yeah, with our headlamps, we had pretty decent visibility.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about the techniques for conducting a search like this in some sort of snowfall. Obviously, as a specialist in searches, one of the things that you put as the highest priority is documenting exactly where the search is conducted, what techniques are used to conduct the search, and what, if anything, is found and exactly where it's found, correct?
Yes, documentation of your search is important, yes, sir.
You'd also want to document the time that things are found, correct?
Yes, you want those documented.
And you'd want to document the relative locations between and among items that are found. How close are they to each other? How close are they or far are they from a stable landmark, a static landmark, correct?
So we will mark items, sir.
Okay.
Measuring in between distances, they do get stamped when we mark our items. Measuring them would be at the discretion of the investigators themselves.
And obviously that would be among the best practices to clearly document how a search is conducted, correct?
Correct, sir.
Another way to document the evidence or the search is to do it through either video evidence or photographic techniques, right? Just photographing, forensic photographs of where things are found, contextual photographs moving into close-up photographs, correct?
That would be at the discretion of the detective, sir.
And in this case, that discretion lay with Lieutenant Tully, correct?
Yeah, he was the incident commander, correct, sir.
You indicated a number of hand tools that you brought with you to the search.
Why does he keep looking down? It's almost like he's got this feeling of embarrassment of like, yeah, I hate what I had to do, but I had to do it to protect my people. I didn't want to do it, but I have to do it. I don't want to be here, but I have to be here. Do you notice that? I'm getting that vibe from him. He doesn't seem to be like, I don't think he wants to be there. Legitimately, like he does not want to protect these people, but he has to. He has no choice, and he knows it. Otherwise, he might be next on the chopping block. I mean, maybe not murder. Maybe they'll turn him into a vegetable, and he doesn't want that. I feel no remorse for him.
Sure that you had the tools necessary to get through the snow and get to the items that you were, if there were any items out there, to get to the items you were looking for. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
And you did, in fact, remove layer by layer of snow and sort of sift through it as best you could, correct?
Yes, sir.
That also included some shovels where a shovel full of snow might be gathered and then turned over, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. That was done somewhat methodically, is that right?
Yes, it was, sir.
And you wanted to make sure that you weren't missing anything as you were digging through the top layers of snow and getting down to something closer to the surface, correct?
Correct, sir.
And at that time, what was the level of snow, if you can estimate it? How much snowfall?
I believe the area, not living that far from that location myself, was anywhere from 15 to 18 up to maybe 20 inches in certain towns.
And again, this is after 5:45, 5:48 in the evening of January 29th.
When the first item was discovered was 5:45.
12 hours after everyone is initially dispatched. So remember, the snowfall continued accumulating. If you remember the weather report, if you don't remember, go check out that video. He was the first honest witness in this entire trial, and so far the last.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The guy talking about the weather, I mean.
Obviously, a search of this complexity and with this many individuals and with those conditions required some level of significant coordination by you and your team, correct?
Yes, sir.
You had to account for all the personnel who were there, is that right?
Correct, sir.
That included, I'm going to go through a quick list, Bearden, Beausoleil, Carrier, Luis, O'Brien, O'Hara, you, and Biscardi, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So there were 7 individuals, as well, Lieutenant, as 7 vehicles to account for to make sure you're not driving over the wrong areas, walking over the wrong areas, standing over the wrong areas, correct?
Correct, sir.
And not only did you have to account for those 7 officers, each of whom arrived in their own vehicles, you also had to make sure that those vehicles were positioned in the right spot to make sure you don't drive over the area that you need to search and might be impacted by your cars, correct?
Yes, sir. After Lieutenant Tully arrived on scene, the remaining cruisers never came past the initial location of where we believe the incident occurred.
Before he came on scene, the cruisers that were there were down toward the driveway, closer to where you were, and you, of course, were positioned with your back to the location that ultimately was searched, correct?
Yes, sir. That was 2 of the 7 cruisers, yes.
Okay. Once you learned where you wanted to search, you literally had to sort of turn around, physically turn things around to begin searching behind where you had originally positioned yourself. No fault of your own, you just didn't know where to go. You had to sort of turn around and go backward toward the area of the flagpole, away from the area of the driveway, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so as you began to focus on the other side of the house, the other side of the driveway, you had to actually reposition a couple of the cruisers. You didn't have to, but you chose to reposition a couple of the cruisers to turn their lights back around, correct?
Oh, that is correct, sir.
At some point, you've indicated that there were other individuals who you noticed were at the scene. Is that right?
Yes, there were non-cert members on scene, sir.
Okay. And those non-cert members included, or they numbered, at least 5 individuals, not including Lieutenant Tully. Is that right?
I believe that includes Lieutenant Tully, sir. I believe
The
it was
5
5 total.
Okay, so 5 does include Lieutenant Tully. There were 4 others that were non-cert members, correct?
Correct, sir.
And those were members, I think you've earlier testified that those were members of either Massachusetts State Police or Canton Police or both. Is that right?
I believe it was both, yes, sir.
And you did not recognize those individuals?
I recognized one of the state police members. I believe a second one was also a state police member that I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
And then 2 other members that I believe were Canton Police, but again, not familiar with them.
And these individuals were, obviously, it's dark, you're not paying attention to them, you're not paying attention to what they're doing. They probably have hats and hoods and gloves on, I'm guessing.
Well, they didn't arrive on scene right away, so we were already well into our search before they even arrived on scene. The only one who was on scene originally was Lieutenant Tully.
If you weren't paying close attention to those 4 officers, those additional 4 officers, how do you know exactly what time they arrived on scene?
They weren't in the area we were searching, so they came on scene after we were already on our line searching, sir.
So they may have been in the area, but you didn't see them until your line search had already begun, and you made note of them, correct?
Correct. I don't know when the exact time they arrived on scene, sir, but they weren't on scene when we started our search.
Or they weren't in your vision when they started their search?
No, they were on scene, sir.
Okay. But you don't know, as you sit here, you can't say what time they showed up.
I do not know, sir.
And did they come at your direction?
They did not.
Did they come in the direction of any of your staff members, any of your colleagues?
No, we did not request them, sir.
Okay. So they were there for some reason other than why you were there.
That's correct, sir.
These individuals, you noted they were either from, I think you said 2 from Massachusetts State Police and 2 from Canton Police, correct?
Yeah, including Lieutenant Tully, probably three MSP and 2 Canton Police, sir.
Okay. Excluding Lieutenant Tully, who was working very closely with you, the other 4 individuals, they were in full uniform or they were plain clothes?
Plain clothes, sir.
And your focus, once you began your search, once you stood up the team, turned your cars around, and realized exactly the grid where you were going to search, that's what your focus was on, correct?
Yeah, I was focused on our search area, correct, sir.
And when you're searching a line, for instance, if it's a line that extends to your right or to your left, the search that you're conducting is literally right directly in front of you, correct?
Well, you're always looking left or right because you're staying online with your teammates, so you always have a full view of the scene you're searching, sir.
I'm not saying that you look down and never look up again, but I'm saying that your focus, the main focus of your search, is directly in front of you. That's why you do a line search. So you can take small steps, search in front of you, move forward, search in front of you as a line, almost an entity, a single entity moving forward, correct?
That is best practice, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's how you make sure you don't miss an overturned leaf that you need to overturn, that there might be a knife under or a gun under or something like that, or a bullet casing, something like that, correct?
Correct, sir.
Or a tail light, right?
Correct, sir.
All right, so as your focus is, your world sort of collapses a little bit, your focus is in front of you, you're obviously working with your team members left and right, you're moving forward very, very gently, very methodically, very technically as you move forward and the whole line moves forward on that grid, correct?
Correct, sir.
So
It's
you're
a
not
very,
necessarily paying attention.
just so you know, it's a very antiquated way that has always worked and will work. You basically just form a line and you just move together and everybody searches the area. It's been done for hundreds of years. Nothing's changed. And it's a proven thing because you cover more ground that way. And the chances of missing something are a lot less.
Attention to what's happening behind you, off in the distance, in the dark, to your left far, to your right far. That's not what your focus is on, at least at that moment, correct?
No, sir. Our focus is forward as we're moving forward into our search area.
Thank you. In addition to the 5 individuals, Lieutenant Tully included, and the other 4, there was also another person that made contact with you from 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes, when we first arrived on scene, someone had exited the residence onto the front steps, front porch area possibly of that mudroom.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Of that mudroom, so that right door, the exit, you know, the door closest to the garage, sir.
Can you describe that person for us?
It was an adult male wearing a hooded sweatshirt.
Did that person approach you or one of your team members?
No, he never left the front door area.
Did he say anything to you or one of the team members?
He asked if we were here for what happened earlier. We replied yes, and he turned and went back inside the residence.
And as you sit here, you don't know who that person is.
I do not, sir, no.
But he's a male, I'm guessing middle-aged,
It was not a child, sir. It was definitely an adult male, sir.
adult male wearing a hooded sweatshirt.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
He came out,
Testify.
said, "Hey, you guys here for the dead body?" "Yes, we are." "All right, carry on." Yeah, because that's normal.
You testified that you recovered a piece of plastic first before you recovered the shoe, or do I have that backward?
No, there was one piece of taillight located before the shoe, sir.
Understood. You've also indicated that of the, I think you said 6 or 7 total pieces of plastic that were found, that all of those pieces of plastic and the shoe were found basically right next to each other, correct?
I don't know the exact distances, but they weren't too far apart. Some several inches to others maybe a foot or two. I don't know the exact distances, sir.
All right, folks, this is a good time to break, and we will continue with O'Hara tomorrow and finish him up with cross-examination by Alan Jackson, a brief redirect by Brennan, and finishing up with the recross by Jackson once again. I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you all learned something. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you get notified when more wonderful videos like these are being produced by myself. I am making 2 long videos per day right now, and I will continue for the foreseeable future, although we might have to finally slow down, depending. I may not. It all depends on how quickly the defense moves, and yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.